What's up? My name is Andrea Tarja, and I am here today to do an album review of an album that came off a week ago. So these dudes are from the symphonic metal scene. They have a female lead. I have been involved in I have been listening to intensely symphonic music for 5 years or so now. Seriously got introduced by Nightwish from a song off their album Endless Forms Most Beautiful, and since then I have not been able to stop. And since I do love listening to a lot of different kinds of music, I thought I should review an album that came out, like I said, about a week ago. So this is fun. This is my first album review, so I don't know how it's gonna go. We shall see. Anyway, this album is by a band called Visionatica. They hail from Nuremberg, Germany. They came on the scene at about 2016 with their first album, Forces of Luna. I think that album had about 9 or 10 songs, and yeah, they made quite an impression on the scene, in my opinion, with their strong but still melodic and soft vocals from the singer Tamara Amadov, I believe her name is. And they recently came out with their second album, which was produced, I believe, and signed off by Frontiers Music. It's pretty awesome. So, this album I thought was pretty interesting. A lot of symphonic metal bands that I've noticed, including my favorite band, Nightwish, they kind of like to go back in time. They kind of like to look at the evolution of the world or humans, or kind of go into deeper meanings about human existence. And they have done this. Yeah, definitely with their second album. So, I've been looking around, combined with listening with the lyrics of the music. First of all, I want to say, this is kind of random, that because, again, they're from Germany, and usually I find a lot of symphonic metal bands are from like Germany, Norway, Sweden, Finland, around that area. I wouldn't say it's the most popular thing in the States, unfortunately. Maybe someday, but until then. Sometimes I have trouble understanding what they're saying. I look like a cockatoo. Hello. Sometimes I have trouble understanding what their accent is, and her voice, Tamara's voice, is just so clear. I absolutely love that. You can understand almost all the lyrics, if not. So, I've been trying to figure out the theme myself. There's a lot. First of all, there's an intro song. I find a lot of bands, again, I'm mentioning Nightwish again, but they also had an intro song, I believe, to Endless Forms Most Beautiful. Kind of a melodic, salad mix, if you will, of all the songs they did in there. And you know, if you've ever been to a Broadway musical, that particular song from that Nightwish album sounded like the intro to like a dramatic Broadway show. It kind of reminded me of something that like Wicked would come up with in its intro. But these people did something similar in Visionatica. Instead of sounding like a Broadway musical, it sounded more like an epic orchestral movie theme, sort of. That's how I took it. Very, 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 I'm honestly not sure what language she was speaking in. This seems to have a lot of mixed, exotic ideas and themes, and mentions a lot of people as well from ancient history, so I'm not sure what language she was speaking. If you guys watched, let me know. I'm a little confused, but, I believe the song was called Amari Sudbina. I wrote it down with my messy handwriting. Amari Sudbina Kali. Now, I believe Kali is a god. I tried to look up the words Amari and Subina, and I came up with Croatian and African. So I think they're kind of going back into different places that frankly, not a lot of people, I feel like in music especially, look into. So I think that's amazing. I feel like they really dug into a place that would make them stand out, so that's awesome. So, I feel like the overall theme of this album was kind of talking about powerful people of the old times and how those people and that culture influenced how we think about society now. And also how we've kind of learned how to fear authority, and how humans have learned to either defy it or not defy it. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so there's a mix of languages, there's a mix of sort of ideas regarding that theme, if that makes sense. One song that stood out to me was the Pharaoh. I think this is probably one of the most popular songs of the album. Kind of talking about, so basically this is talking about how, like, the ancient astronauts of the time looked at the world and tried to approach their science, and also questioning questions about the origin of life. And I feel like also from the origin of life, it was kind of talking about what happens throughout time from that period, and how was the past influenced, or rather, how was modern times influenced by those past times, scientifically, politically, culturally, etc. So I thought that was cool. Another figure they mentioned besides the Pharaoh, a general title, is Roxanne. If you don't know who Roxanne is, she was Alexander the Great's wife. She was a princess. I don't remember all her details, but basically she was a princess that got married to him. I just think it's cool that they're bringing out figures that maybe not everyone may know. I mean, I think a lot of people know Alexander the Great, but I don't think a lot of people talk about his wife. I'm just saying. So I thought that was pretty near. I mean, pretty near to being very cool. It is 10 o'clock at night. It shouldn't be that late, but I do have to get up early in the morning for work, so anyway. There's also a song called Fear. Again, going over the idea of government and about basically a very basic theme about stand up and don't let the government control you and stand up for what you believe in. Yeah, so I think overall this album has a theme that can be kind of related to what other bands are trying to do in the symphonic metal scene anyway. I know I keep coming back to Nightwish, but I keep finding similarities. Nightwish's Endless Forms Most Beautiful is very directly about the origin of life and how humanity and the earth has evolved. But I think this Visionatica is going with Enigma Fire, is going a little more specific into that, and going into what the people and like how specifically through time things have changed, and I just think that's neat. Now, musically speaking, I would say they have a very traditional, I should say traditional, but what I find at a lot of rock metal, and particularly symphonic metal, is, basically they start with a strong orchestral idea with a melodic theme going on in the guitar or whatever, and then they kind of get into the more metal sounding music, while kind of carrying that melody behind the hard riffs and the drums and stuff. And I also happen to notice that they seem to be very heavy on the drums. That's just how I thought. There were a lot of use of classical instruments. I believe in Fear they were using a bunch of harps and violins in the beginning, so I thought that was really neat. Never is there ever enough use of harp, I think. Or flute, which I play. But that's for another video. Yeah, so like I said, they kind of put the melody in the back while putting the strong beats in the front, which I think is pretty normal. But I thought just the music, the melodies were great too. The melodies, again, in the intro song were very, I think, depictive of a cultural style of an ancient time of some kind. Maybe, again, the title of the song, Amari Sadbina Kali, was very confusing to me. So very centered on possibly cultures we don't really talk about At least I feel, in popular culture, and I feel like that's a great thing for them to do. So I feel like my overall impression of this is it's very interesting. It has a very interesting take on evolution of life. And also musically, it is very culturally based and has a different, very creative melodies in the guitar and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to see when, hopefully, if and when they come out with their third album. So yeah, they haven't been around for that long. They've been around for 2016. Like I said, it's not like one major difference they do have from Nightwish is that Nightwish has been around since, I believe, the late 90s, 1990s. And although they have changed singers a lot, they have, developed, they still stick around. They, I hope Visionatica does that too. I hope they have a long career. So, yeah, so that's my first album review. I don't know what you guys thought of it. It was probably a mess. And one day I will be more professional about it. But in the meantime, this is what I have in my very quiet, awkward room. I have my camera sitting on a music stand, actually, currently. I tried to position myself in a place that looked decent, but the fact that this is the best setting I can come up with, I don't think it's good. Yeah, so I finally got this done. I'm excited. I've been wanting to review albums for a while, and this seemed like a good opportunity. I love Visionatica, etc. So, yeah, so it is still Friday, isn't it? It feels like it should be Monday on a Saturday. Midnight on a Saturday. Monday on a Saturday. Wouldn't that be interesting? So, I will see you guys later. Have a great weekend and a great rest of your summer, and maybe I'll see you sometime. Ta-ta!